All right. What year is it that you meet Biz Markie?
I can track it down. Just because I remember how it happened. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna guess 97 or 98.
Wow, that early.
Yeah. We were in Canada working on a project for someone else. And part of what I was doing, they were all like super intimidated that Biz Markie would be there. And I guess I wasn't so much. And then when we picked him up at the airport, like I was in the back of the van, like fucking with like back when you used to keep lists of breaks, like papers or drum breaks. Like it's actually right there. See that little white pile there? That's there. That's a whole list. And so I'm sitting there flipping through that because he said he wanted to go record shopping. So I'm like looking for some shit in there. He's like, what's that? I'm like, break list. So hey, we see it. Handed it to him and he's like, oh shit. And he's looking through it and he's like, got this, all that. And then we went to I babysat him. We stayed in the same hotel. He wanted to go to a club. We went to a club. It was funny because they knew him as a dude from Martin. Oh, you're a dude from Martin. And like not Biz Markie. I guess, was he on Martin? The Martin Lawrence show?
That's just weird though, to know him from that instead of him as Biz Markie though.
We were also in Toronto.
Right.
What are you doing? Nothing. So anyway, and then we went to a bunch of record stores, and like a couple of them I remember they were closed, and the dude that was taking us got it opened. And I think it was me, Buck, and Biz Markie actually. And it was like the kind of spot where you go and play the record. You could like it's over here and it's fancy and it's $100 you play it. And I remember playing like 2, and they were big. Fuck, that was fucking dope. And then Biz would be like, hey man, can I have that record? I'm like, you do know I make music too. He just goes, yeah, but I'll make it and put it out and I'll put your name in it. And I'm like, fuck. So the records I was going to buy, I gave to him on the off chance that it would end up being a record. But we went to this antique mall. The kind with the glass booths, and so like when you want to get into something, you have to get them. And so he was showing me a bunch of breaks. And then he goes, hey, you know anybody that knows anything about Beanie Babies? And this is back when Beanie Babies were super popular. And I'm like, yeah, man, my mom. She collects all that shit. Put him on the phone with my mother. And she actually knew who he was somehow. Probably from just a friend or something. But she explained all the Beanie Baby shit to him. And then gave Biz Markie her number, at the house phone number in case he had any more questions. And he called her back a few times. And he basically went to the people that worked there and told them all the shit he had written down. And they came back down with like 5 or 6 boxes filled with Beanie Babies. And mind you, the whole time he had been there, he just had this pair of nut hugger tennis shorts on.
Wilt Chamberlain style.
Yes, and a wife beater. And that's it. That's all he had. The whole time. It's like 3 or 4 days. The whole time. Do the math. They bring all the boxes down. And they're like, he's like, I want all this. And I want you to ship it to this address. And they're like, oh, well, that's going to be, he's like, it's not, I'm paying cash. It's not going to be a problem. And they're like, oh, okay, it's not going to be a problem. So it's like $7,000 or something. And He reaches in his Wilt Chamberlain pocket. Counts out all the money and then a huge tip and then the shipping. And they're like, it'll be there in 2 days. And they put it back in there. And he said, thank your mother for me. I'm like, yeah, you have her fucking number. You can thank her. And he did. And then he would. And so that's what you think would be the end. But on the list, I had Billy Joel Stiletto, 12-inch, listed as a break. And that's the break in the piano from Cool G Rap Road to the Riches. I had it listed as a 12-inch single because on Cut Chemist's mixtape Rare Equations, there's a phone conversation between Cut Chemist, Top Speed, and Biz Markie on the tape over these beats. And they're talking about records. And then Biz Markie says, Billy Joe Stiletto, I got that on 12-inch. I got like 3 or 4 of them. So, I'm like, oh, I heard it on it, wrote it down. When Biz saw it, he's like, oh, you got Stiletto on 12-inch? I'm like, yes, I don't. But I'm like, yeah, I got it on 12-inch. He's like, man, I gotta come and get that from you sometime when I'm in Cincinnati. I'm like, yeah, I let Skip borrow it, but I can get it back. And he showed up at my apartment in Cincinnati one time, buzzing the buzzer. And I told him I didn't have it with me. Skip had it, my partner. Hobo Skip had it at, somewhere else. He's like, oh, okay. And then he was DJing somewhere, like he was going to Columbus to DJ, but he stopped to come and get the record. And then he called my mother to see if the record might be at their house. And then my dad got on the phone with him and invited him over. And this is like a year later. And I get a call from my dad. He's like, you might want to stop by. I'm like, okay, when? He's like, now. And I get there and Biz Markie's sitting on the couch with my fucking parents talking about records. And my dad doing it, he's like, well, Brad's already got all my records. And this went on for years. Remember, the only reason I even think it's a fucking record is because he said it was a record on the fucking tape. It's not a 12-inch. It was never a 12-inch. It's just it's a fucking cut on the record. So when I started doing the Unearth thing, that's when I had found a plant in Indianapolis. And the dude would give you like 5 or 6, 10 test pressings or whatever. And I'm like, can I pay to get like a few test pressings, like white labels and just nothing on them? And he's like, what is it? And I explained it and he thought it was funny. So he made me 5 or 6 copies of Stiletto. Just same thing on both sides. And the next time he showed up, I gave him the fucking Stiletto 12-inch, which then he's like, I got it. I knew that, he's like, I lost, but he lost it because it never existed. So I had to get him pressed because he was never going to stop coming looking for the Stiletto 12-inch that doesn't fucking exist. That went on for like 5 or 6 years. And finally, I think Top Speed was the dude that hooked me up with the plant in Indianapolis so I could get the battle records pressed. And talking to the dude one time, I just was like, fuck it, what could it hurt? And so for a few $100, he got his copies of Stiletto. So that's my Biz Markie history.
That's hilarious, man.
And then one time with Atmosphere, we were in fucking Europe, and we had just played, and then here comes Cutmaster Cool V and Biz Markie through the fucking back door, and they were on next. Oh shit! So that was cool. Like we'd run into each other every now and then. He's a nice dude. He was real funny.
Yeah. So on July 16, 2021, Biz passes away. At that time, were you guys still close, or you guys?
I mean, every blue moon, you know what I mean? Like when you say it like that, it makes me think that everything has kind of like an era. Like this is my era where I'm like we're tighter, you know what I mean? And then we're still friendly. We still run into each other, talk every now and then. Somebody bring it up in a conversation that we'll call one another. And that's like even the Doom thing. Like there's eras where you talk to people more and then, they kind of doing their...
Yeah, and it's not personal. It's just kind of like sometimes like life happens, Yeah, like, absolutely.
And again, for like a dude like that, like he was always doing a lot of shit and collecting. So if it wasn't music, the collectible shit that he was doing was legitimately fucking just mind-numbing.
For sure.
So yeah,
What was your reaction when you got the news that he had passed away?
again, I didn't understand how that was like. I'm not saying he was the healthiest dude in the world or whatever, but it's always weird. Like after a while, I guess, especially like because the hospital thing, like you hear about it every day. Hear about it every day, and then just the general dumb shittery of people that are like your homie that's 55 and decides he wants to try fentanyl at 55 and then they find him dead. So that shit is so prevalent now that when someone dies normally, of a thing that's not, well, he decided to lick frog dicks and he died from that. Like when it's like it was a health thing and the COVID got him or whatever, it's not as hard to swallow. It sucks, but you're like at least it it's more normal than, like you had to do some dumb shit when you're old that you should have done when you were younger and got it out of the way.
Right.
Well, but yeah, that was a weird one too, because like like I don't know, man. Like you feel like if someone that you don't think you don't picture someone like that dying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the thing is like we're reaching a level now where hip hop has gotten old for the first time, right? And you're seeing artists that you watched for so long finally reach different ages that different phases of their life. They're doing different things now, and to watch them, so many people pass away now. Like we were used to seeing rappers getting killed when they're young, basically from
Yeah,
getting shot and stuff, and now it's like different reasons, right?
yeah,
So it's a different tragedy.
yeah. You all get fucking old.
Yeah. Well, rest in peace to Biz, man.